On my wedding day I got up at 3 a.m. to dress up in my finest. But when the wedding car arrived I was stunned. Tied to the front of the car was a white flower, exactly like a hearse. My fiancé's childhood sweetheart sat in the passenger seat, her eyes filled with tears. Sister Mingming, I know today's your big day, but my dad passed away from a heart attack yesterday. We had to borrow your wedding car and turn it into a hearse for the emergency. Please don't be mad. Jude sighed. Filial piety comes first. Clara's been through so much. I looked at the two of them and let out a dry laugh. If you were really filial you'd carry your dad to the cemetery on your back. Not make a decision without asking and turn someone else's wedding car into a hearse. At that, Jude suddenly flew into a rage. Feng Mingming. Clara's like my own sister, her dad is my dad too. You're going to be the Gu family's daughter-in-law, so her dad is your dad too. Filial piety is your duty, can't you be reasonable? I nodded coldly, telling Jude to send his childhood sweetheart's father first. Then I turned around and called the wedding staff. Cancel the wedding. Turn it into a wake instead. I need to mourn my new dad. On my wedding day, I stood at the door in a custom wedding dress worth 6 figures, waiting for Jude Gu's wedding procession. The auspicious time had passed by half an hour, and my phone screen lit up and dimmed repeatedly. Jude, where are you? Stuck in traffic. Almost there. I forced down my unease and waited another 20 minutes. Finally, firecrackers sounded in the distance and the procession slowly approached. There was a big red flower tied to the front of the lead car, but next to it was an enormous white flower. My heart sank like a stone. The car door opened and Jude got out, followed by his childhood sweetheart Clara Lynn. She was dressed all in white, her eyes swollen. When she saw me she forced a smile uglier than crying. Sister Mingming, I'm so sorry. Her voice choked up. I know today's your big day, but my dad had a sudden heart attack last night. I stared at her mourning clothes, my mind going blank. Uncle Lin passed away last night, he has to be buried today. Jude took over, his tone eerily calm. Clara has no family left. I can't abandon her. I took a deep breath. So you used our wedding car for a funeral? The dead come first, Mingming. Don't be so unreasonable. Jude frowned, a hint of impatience flashing in his eyes. Clara covered her face, her voice muffled through her fingers. Sister Mingming, my dad's biggest wish when he was alive was to see Jude Gu get married. He said he wanted to leave in Jude Ji's wedding car. My gaze drifted past them to the inside of the car. The back seat was covered with a white cloth, and in the middle sat an urn draped in black silk. In my wedding car there was an urn of a stranger. Get in. We'll drop off Uncle Lin first, then head to the hotel. We still have time, Jude said in a tone that brooked no argument. Clara's relatives are waiting at the cemetery. I can't break my promise. I stood rooted to the spot, the hem of my wedding dress blowing up and down in the wind. You want me to go to my wedding in a hearse? How can you call it a hearse? Jude snapped. We're just giving a ride on the way. Clara sobbed. Sister Mingming, I'm so sorry. It's all my fault. Maybe I should take a taxi to the cemetery. No way. Jude immediately shot her down. How can you go alone? Watching their interaction something suddenly clicked. Jude Gu, today is our wedding day. I know, but Clara just lost her dad, she's all alone. So she's more important than your fiancé? Jude's expression changed. Why are you being so selfish? Clara grew up without a mom, and now she's lost her dad too. Clara pulled on his sleeve. Jude Gu, don't say that. I shouldn't be bothering you. I sneered. Clara Lynn, when exactly did your dad pass away? Last night. At 11 p.m. Did the hospital issue a death certificate? Did the funeral home cremate him that quickly? Clara's face paled. Jude roared. What are you implying? Are you accusing Clara of lying? I'm just curious. The normal process doesn't move this fast. Special cases get special treatment. Clara's dad had connections when he was alive. I nodded. I see. So tell me, what does her dad have to do with me? Why do you have to use our wedding car? This is my wedding car, not your hearse. Jude's face turned livid instantly, his eyes blazing with anger I'd never seen before. Feng Mingming. How dare you say that? Uncle Lin treated me like his own son, he's my dad. You'll be my wife soon, so my dad is naturally your dad too. Isn't filial piety your duty? Jude pressed forward aggressively, his voice rising an octave. Clara timed it perfectly, pulling on Jude's arm with tears in her eyes. Jude, go, stop. Sister Mingming hasn't been through this kind of pain, she doesn't understand. Her pitiful look made my stomach churn. I laughed angrily, pointing at her. If you were really filial, you'd kneel and kowtow every 3 steps to carry your dad up the mountain. Not make a decision without asking, steal someone else's wedding car to turn into a hearse, and then play the victim here. Shock flashed across Jude's face, quickly turning to towering rage. He shoved me hard, sending me stumbling backward. The hem of my wedding dress dragged in the dirt, the white lace getting covered in dust. Fang Mingming, you've disappointed me so much. He gritted his teeth. I thought you were a kind woman, but you're actually so cold and vicious. Jude turned around to support Clara, his voice soft. Clara, don't cry. I promised Uncle I'd let him leave with dignity. Clara nodded through her sobs, tears streaming down her cheeks. Now I finally saw the truth clearly. It wasn't kindness, it was that he valued Clara more than me. Jude Gu, today is our wedding day. I struggled to keep my voice steady. I know, but this is a special situation, he said without looking back. Special enough to ruin our wedding? Do you have to be so unreasonable? Jude turned around, his eyes filled with disappointment. I just want to see Uncle Lin off one last time, then we'll go to the hotel for the wedding. Why can't you be more understanding? I've been understanding for 3 years. Every time Clara had a problem, you rushed to her side first. I never complained. But today is our wedding, Jude Gu, our wedding. You're so selfish, he shouted. Clara just lost her dad, what is she supposed to do alone? What about me? I shot back. Your bride was pushed aside on our wedding day, what am I supposed to do alone? Jude gave me an ultimatum, I'll count to 3. Are you getting in the car or not? If not, go to the hotel by yourself. Before I could answer, Jude stepped on the gas and sped away. My phone pinged with a text from Jude. I'll be there right after dropping them off. Don't throw a fit, we can't delay the wedding. You're already the Gu family's daughter-in-law. Clara's dad is your dad too, so filial piety is your duty. It's our big day, be reasonable. I tore off my veil, threw it on the ground and crushed it under my high heels. Be reasonable? Be filial? I picked up my phone and called the wedding planner. We need to make a change to the wedding. A change. Yes. Turn it into a wake. The wedding planner was too shocked to speak. My father-in-law passed away, I said slowly, word by word. As his new daughter-in-law, I need to wear mourning clothes and pay my respects. But the hotel is all ready. I don't care, I cut her off. Get it done in an hour and I'll pay you 5 times the fee. I opened my phone and texted the groomsmen group. Urgent tragedy. Jude Gu's father has passed away unexpectedly. The wedding is now a memorial service. Please come to pay your condolences. As soon as the message was sent, the group exploded with questions. Ignoring all inquiries, I dialed a number I hadn't contacted in a long time. Arthur Liu, our engagement is now in effect. Fang Mingming, you've finally come around? The man's voice on the other end was laced with amusement. Golden Sand Hotel. Be here in an hour, no exceptions. On my way. 20 minutes later, a line of black Bentleys pulled up, parking neatly in front of me. The car door opened and Arthur stepped out, dressed sharply in a suit, his eyes locking onto mine. You look terrible, he said. Thanks for the compliment, I sneered. He took off his suit jacket and draped it over my shoulders, the gesture so natural as if we'd been together for years. Let's go to our wedding. I looked up at him. Aren't you going to ask what happened? No need, he said, taking my hand. You choosing me is enough. Sitting in the car, I finally broke down and cried. Arthur handed me tissues, offering no extra consolation, just holding my hand tightly. When we arrived at Golden Sand Hotel, I was impressed by how fast the planning team had worked. The banquet hall was completely transformed. All the festive red decorations had been replaced with white and black. Funeral music played softly, creating a solemn atmosphere. In the center of the stage, a large black and white photo stood out, a hastily photoshopped obituary photo of Jude Gu. My parents sat in the front row. When they saw me, my father nodded and my mother gave me a look that said, "You finally came to your senses." Relatives from the Fong family sat quietly, as if watching a carefully choreographed performance. Guests from the Gu family, however, exchanged confused glances, whispering among themselves, unsure what was happening. "Are you ready?" Arthur asked. "Never more so." I linked arms with Arthur and walked onto the stage, taking the microphone from a staff member. The entire hall fell silent, all eyes focusing on me. "Thank you all for taking the time to be here today," I said, my voice surprisingly calm. "The scheduled wedding has been cancelled due to unforeseen circumstances. Today we gather to mourn the passing of Jude Gu's father." Gasps erupted from the audience. "Although Mr. Jude Gu is still alive, his filial piety has moved heaven," I continued. "Because his new father has passed away, he is overcome with grief, so grief-stricken that he might want to follow his new father in death. So I took the liberty of preparing his obituary photo in advance." After hearing my announcement, the faces of the Gu family turned deathly pale instantly. Jude's father suddenly stood up, pointing a finger at me. "Fang Mingming, what do you mean by this? I'm sitting here perfectly fine and you're saying I'm dead." I smiled and walked down from the stage, stopping in front of Jude's father, my voice sweet. "Uncle, you misunderstood. I'm talking about my new father, not you." "What new father?" Jude's mother also stood up, her voice sharp. "Clara Lynn's father," I said, pulling out my phone to show Jude's text message. "Your son said it himself. Clara Lynn's dad is his dad and also mine. As his wife-to-be, it's only natural for me to fulfill my filial duties." Jude's father snatched the phone from my hand. After reading the text, his face turned livid. What does this mean?" "Exactly what it says," I shrugged. "Your son told me I'm the Gu family's daughter-in-law, so Clara Lynn's dad is my dad too and filial piety is my duty. That's why I turned the wedding into a memorial service. Isn't this being reasonable?" Jude's mother trembled with anger. "Nonsense. Absolute nonsense." "How is it nonsense?" I shot back. "Your son told me to be reasonable. This is exactly what being reasonable looks like." Arthur stood beside me, squeezing my hand gently, giving me strength. Jude's parents were too angry to speak and the Gu relatives erupted in murmurs. My father walked over and patted my shoulder. "Mingming, that's enough." "No, Dad, it's not." I shook my head. "I want everyone to see what kind of person Jude Gu really is." Just then my phone rang. It was Jude. I pressed the speakerphone. "Fang Mingming, did you call my parents? Why won't they stop calling me?" Jude's voice was impatient. "I'm busy, we haven't finished handling Clara's dad's affairs yet." I looked at Jude's parents and smiled. "I didn't call them. I'm too busy holding a memorial service for my new father." "What memorial service? What are you talking about? You said Clara Lynn's dad is your dad and also mine. As your wife-to-be, it's only natural for me to be filial." There was a long silence on the other end. Then Jude sneered. "Fang Mingming, have you had enough? I know you're upset, but throwing a tantrum like this is childish." "How am I being childish? I'm just being filial." "Enough." Jude raised his voice. "If you don't calm my parents down right now, we're calling off the wedding." I laughed. "No need, we're already married. Just not to you." "What do you mean?" "Exactly what it says." Before hanging up, I heard Clara's voice in the background asking softly, "Jude Gu, what's wrong?" Jude's tone softened immediately. "Nothing, don't worry. She's just throwing a little fit, she can't live without me." I hung up and handed the phone to Jude's father. "You heard your son's true colors." Jude's father's face turned from livid to ashen. His mother clutched her chest and sat back down in her chair. Half an hour later, Jude and Clara finally arrived at the hotel. As soon as they walked in, the sound of funeral music hit them. "What's that noise?" "So unlucky," Jude frowned, stopping a staff member. "Excuse me, where is the wedding banquet hall?" The staff member looked confused. "Sir, there's no wedding here today. Did you make a mistake? Only Mr. Jude Gu's father's memorial service is being held here today." When Jude heard the staff member's words, his face changed drastically. He grabbed the man by the collar. "What did you say? Whose memorial service?" The staff member turned pale with fear at his sudden outburst. "Sir, please calm down. It's Mr. Jude Gu's father's memorial service. The banquet hall is all set up. You can go check for yourself." "I'm not lying." Jude pushed Clara's hand away and strode toward the banquet hall. The moment he pushed the door open, the funeral music rushed toward him. The venue that should have been filled with joy was now solemn and somber. White flowers, black drapes, and that enormous memorial altar. What shocked him most was the large black and white photo in the center of the stage. It was his own obituary photo. Jude's face turned from angry red to terrified pale, then to humiliated livid. At the sight, Clara let out a shrill scream. "Fang Mingming, you lunatic! How dare you curse Jude Gu to death!" I stood on the stage looking down at them from above, a faint smile playing on my lips. Jude finally snapped back to his senses, overcome with rage. He charged toward the stage like a madman. But halfway there, two black-clad bodyguards stopped him, lifting him up like he was a tiny chicken. "Let me go. Fang Mingming. Get down here." He struggled wildly, thrashing like a fish out of water. I sauntered to the edge of the stage. "Mr. Gu, watch your manners. This is a memorial service. What's wrong with you? Didn't I say I'd come back?" Jude roared, his voice distorted with anger. "Aren't I waiting for you?" I replied with a smile. "Your father passed away and I, his daughter-in-law, took care of the funeral arrangements myself. Isn't that virtuous of me?" The entire hall erupted in laughter, some even laughed until they cried. Jude's face turned the color of liver, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Fang Mingming, you're crazy. My dad is sitting right there, perfectly fine." He pointed at his father in the front row. "Oh, that's your biological father," I nodded. "I'm talking about your new father, Clara Lynn's dad. Didn't you say he's your dad too and mine? As your wife-to-be, it's only natural for me to be filial." Jude's mouth hung open. For a moment he had no idea how to refute me. It was then that he noticed Arthur standing beside me and our intertwined hands. "Mr. Liu? You too." Jude's voice suddenly turned hoarse. Arthur picked up a remote control and pressed a button. A photo of a marriage certificate appeared on the big screen, with Arthur's and my names and photos clearly printed on it. "Mr. Gu, this is my wife. Please show some respect." Arthur's voice was quiet, but it silenced the entire banquet hall. Jude's legs went weak, he could barely stand. "Impossible. Mingming, you love me. This is just revenge. You want me to beg you." "Beg you?" I sneered. "Jude Gu, do you even deserve that?" Clara supported the unsteady Jude, glaring at me fiercely. "Fang Mingming, you've gone too far. Jude Gu treated you so well, and you secretly married someone else behind his back." "Treated me well?" I stepped down from the stage, approaching them step by step. "Yes, so well that he left me alone by the road on our wedding day. So well that he used my wedding car to transport another man's dead father. So well that he told me another woman was more important than me. I really can't handle this kind of kindness." Jude's face turned pale. "I just wanted to see Uncle Lin off for the last time." "Did you finish?" I cut him off. "If you did, get out. This place will soon be transformed into the wedding venue for my husband and me. You can't do this." Jude suddenly screamed hysterically. "We were supposed to get married. You can't betray me." Arthur stepped forward, standing in front of me. "Mr. Gu, watch your words. The word betrayal suits you better." I walked closer to Jude. Panic flashed in his eyes, but he still forced himself to hold his ground. "Mingming, you can't treat me like this. We were supposed to get married." I sat and raised my hand, slapping him hard across the face. Slap. The crisp sound echoed through the banquet hall. Jude was knocked sideways by the force. A bright red handprint instantly appeared on his cheek. "That slap is to wake you up from your delusions." Jude held his cheek, staring at me in disbelief. "You dare hit me? When I loved you, you were precious. Now that I don't, what right do you have to make demands of me?" I said coldly. "Jude Gu, what do you even think you are?" Seeing this, Clara immediately rushed forward to shield Jude. "Fang Mingming, you're going too far. Jude Gu treated you so well." I slapped her backhanded. She stumbled backward, blood oozing from the corner of her mouth. "Shut up, you bitch." Clara held her cheek, tears welling in her eyes as she looked at Jude. "Jude Gu, she hit me." Jude snapped back to his senses, his eyes blazing with anger. "Fang Mingming, have you lost your mind? Clara just lost her dad and you still hit her. Her dad passed away?" I laughed. "Then let me show you where her dad really is." I pulled out my phone and played a recording. A clear female voice came from the speaker. "Clara, you did well. Use your dad as an excuse, make the scene bigger. The more embarrassed Mingming is, the more Jude will pity you. Once they get married and the company's legal representative is changed, the Fong family will be out of the picture. Mom, don't worry. I'll follow the plan. Jude Gu listens to everything I say. All I have to do is cry and he'll agree to anything. Remember, your dad is just hiding temporarily. Once we get what we want, your whole family will live a good life. The recording ended abruptly. The entire hall fell deathly silent. Jude's face turned as white as a sheet. He turned to Clara. Clara. What does this mean? Clara's face lost all color, her lips trembling. Jude Gu, I can explain. Explain what? I sneered. Explain how your family plotted against me? Explain that your dad isn't dead? Or explain how you plan to take over Fong Group? Jude shook his head, unable to believe his ears. Impossible. Clara wouldn't lie to me. A distant relative of yours, someone who's been bullied by your family for years, gave me this recording. I stared straight at Clara. He said he was tired of watching your family leech off others. Clara's face suddenly changed. She screamed, "You're lying. That recording is fake." Fake. I sneered. Then shall we go to the police station to verify it? And while we're at it, let's find out where your dad really is. Jude finally came to his senses. He grabbed Clara's wrist tightly. Clara, tell me this isn't true. Clara tried to break free, but Jude held her firmly. A flash of viciousness crossed her eyes, then she put on her poor, helpless act again. Jude Gu, you love me. Answer me. Jude roared. Clara was frightened by his outburst. Finally, she dropped her pretense. Jude Gu, what do you think you are? Without me, could you have gotten close to the Fong family? Could you have gotten into Fong Group? You're just a pawn to me. Jude was struck dumb. He let go of her hand. At that moment, my parents stepped out of the crowd. Jude finally realized that my father was the chairman of Fong Group, the man he'd been trying to curry favor with all along. Dad, Mom, I called softly. My father didn't even glance at Jude. He only spoke to Arthur. Arthur, take Mingming home. Jude collapsed to the ground on the spot, his face ashen. He scrambled toward my father, dropping to his knees with a heavy thud. He clung to my father's legs, tears and snot streaming down his face. Dad. Chairman Fong. I was wrong. I really was wrong. I love Mingming. My mother stepped forward and kicked Jude hard in the shoulder with her high heel. Get away. My daughter's husband's last name is Liu. Jude was kicked backward, falling to the floor. He got up, a hint of madness in his eyes. Suddenly he turned on Clara, grabbing her by the neck with both hands. Bitch. You and your family ruined me. Clara's face turned red as she clawed at Jude's wrists. She dropped her innocent act, her expression twisting into a dungying snarl. Jude Gu, don't play the victim. When you used Fong Mingming's money to buy a house and car for my brother, why didn't you say I ruined you? I froze. What? He used my money to buy a house and car for Clara's brother? Clara continued screaming. You wanted to be the Fong family's son-in-law just to take over their family, didn't you? Do you think I didn't know your little plan? Jude let go of her, his face pale. Clara took the chance to pounce on him, scratching his face with her nails, leaving deep red marks. You dare hit me? Clara screamed, yanking Jude's hair. In full view of everyone, the two of them began fighting, slapping each other, tearing clothes, making a complete spectacle of themselves. Some guests gasped, some took photos, some snickered. I stood aside, watching the farce with cold eyes. Arthur took my hand. Let's go. They're not worth watching. I nodded and turned to leave. Behind me, Jude's cries echoed. Fong Mingming. You can't treat me like this. I really love you. I didn't look back. Hotel security rushed over, grabbing the two troublemakers by the arms and dragging them toward the door. Let me go. Do you know who I am? Jude struggled. I'm the CEO of Gu Group. The security captain sneered. Mr. Gu, this is Lu Group's property. You'd better calm down. Jude went limp instantly. Arthur and I left early, getting into his car. Do you regret it? He asked. No, I leaned my head on his shoulder. I just feel stupid for being so blind. It's okay, you see clearly now. He kissed the top of my head. The next day, Fong Group and Lu Group jointly issued an announcement, terminating all cooperative projects with Gu Group and demanding the recovery of previous investments. Jude's company had always been an empty shell supported by my father. Overnight it declared bankruptcy, drowning in debt. His luxury cars were repossessed, his mansion was seized, and all his glory and wealth vanished like bubbles. 3 days later I was in a meeting at Lu Group when my assistant hurried in. "Miss Fong, Jude Gu is causing a commotion downstairs." I walked to the window and saw Jude standing in front of the building, dressed in tattered clothes, holding a sign that read, "Ming Fong, I love you, please forgive me." I sneered and made a call, "Take care of it." 10 minutes later, several men in black appeared and dragged Jude into a black van. When I got home that night, Arthur told me, "It's been handled. He won't bother you again." "How?" "Broken his legs and left him on the outskirts of the city," he said in a casual tone as if talking about the weather. I nodded, feeling no extra emotion. A week later, news reports stated that Clara Lin's family was being investigated by the police on suspicion of commercial fraud. It turned out her father wasn't dead at all, he'd even used the fake death to swindle sympathy money from several companies. Arthur and I sat on the sofa watching the news. Suddenly he asked, "What would you have done if I hadn't shown up that day?" I turned to look at him. "Would you ever have not shown up?" He smiled. "No." "Then that's that." I leaned into his arms. "I knew you'd been waiting for me." He held me tighter. "For a long time." A year later, our baby's 100-day celebration was held. The banquet hall was magnificent, filled with guests. I wore a light blue dress. Arthur was in a sharp suit, and he held our little princess in his arms. "My love, do you want to rest for a while?" Arthur asked, lowering his head. I shook my head and scanned the banquet hall. Suddenly I saw a familiar figure. Jude Gu. He was wearing a waiter's uniform, limping on one leg, carrying a tray of drinks as he weaved through the crowd. In just a year he'd aged so much that he was barely recognizable. "What's wrong?" Arthur followed my gaze. "Nothing." I looked away and kissed our daughter's cheek. Arthur handed our daughter to the nanny, then took my hand to greet the guests. We'd only walked halfway when Jude suddenly appeared in front of me. "Ming." His voice was hoarse like sandpaper rubbing together. Arthur immediately stepped in front of me. "Get lost." Jude didn't look at him, his eyes fixed on me. Ming, I need to talk to you just a minute." I patted Arthur's arm. "It's okay. I'll hear what he has to say." Arthur frowned but stepped back slightly, staying by my side. A flash of jealousy crossed Jude's eyes, quickly hidden. He lowered his head. Ming, I'm not doing well." "What's that to me?" "Clara's in jail, her whole family's ruined. I lost my company, my house, my car." "So?" Jude looked up, his eyes filled with pleading. If I'd chosen you that day, would everything be different?" I laughed. "Jude Gu, you never had a choice." He froze. "Your greed and stupidity sealed your fate," I said coldly. "Who do you think you are? You think you can control my life?" Jude's face turned pale. Ming, I know I was wrong, I really do." He suddenly knelt down and clung to my leg. "Please give me another chance. I'll do anything." Arthur kicked him away. "Get out." Jude fell to the ground, drawing stares from the surrounding guests. Arthur waved for the hotel manager. "Fire him. I don't want my wife to see anyone who upsets her again." The manager bowed respectfully. "Yes, Mr. Liu." "Right away." 2 security guards lifted Jude up and dragged him toward the door. He looked back at me, his eyes filled with endless despair and regret. I turned to leave, feeling nothing. Arthur took my hand. "Don't let him ruin your mood." The next day Arthur was still furious. He found more evidence of Jude embezzling company funds, sued him again and had him sent to jail. I tried to comfort him. "It's over. There's no need to keep guarding against him. I'm not afraid anymore." Arthur snorted. "I'm not afraid either, but just seeing him annoys me. Putting him in jail to give him a meal is like doing charity." 6 months later I ran into Clara Lin at a mall. She was pushing a stroller with a skinny baby inside. She herself was extremely thin, her face sallow, her eye sockets sunken. When she saw me she froze for a moment, then hatred flashed in her eyes. "Fong Ming." I nodded and prepared to leave. "Wait," she called out. "I have something to say." I stopped and looked at her. "My mom's dead." Her voice was dry. "In jail, she had a heart attack. Before she died she told me you'd get your comeuppance." I raised an eyebrow. "Is that all?" Clara ground her teeth. Fang Mingming, how can you be so cold? My mom's dead, my dad's in jail, and my baby and I are living on the streets. Can't you help us? Why should I? Because we were friends once. She suddenly put on a pitiful expression. Sister Mingming, I know I was wrong, I really do. I was tricked by Jude Gu. He said if I helped him he'd marry me. I was so stupid to believe him. I sneered. Clara Lin, your acting is still terrible. Her face changed and a flash of viciousness crossed her eyes. Fang Mingming, you'll regret not helping me. Oh. I curse you, she suddenly screamed. I curse your child to die young. I curse your family to be destroyed. I curse you. She didn't finish. A hand covered her mouth. Arthur had appeared behind her at some point, his eyes filled with cold anger. Say one more word and I'll make sure you never speak again. Clara trembled all over, her eyes filled with fear. Arthur let go of her, took a few banknotes from his wallet and threw them into the stroller. Take your baby and get out of this city. If I see you again you'll regret it. Clara grabbed the money, picked up the baby and fled in a panic. I watched her back, suddenly feeling tired. Why give her money? Arthur put his arm around my shoulders. Not for her, for the baby. The child is innocent. I leaned into his arms and closed my eyes. You're always kinder than me. No, he kissed the top of my head. I just don't want your hands stained with her blood. People like her aren't worth getting your hands dirty for. I looked up at him and suddenly smiled. Arthur Liu, you're the best. He smiled too, his eyes filled with tenderness. Let's go home. We held hands and left the mall, the sun shining on us, warm and bright. 10. A few years later our child was old enough to run and jump, and laughter filled the entire Liu mansion. But the shadow of Clara Lin still lingered over me. The look in her eyes before she left was like a venomous snake, keeping me awake at night. She won't give up, I said to Arthur. Without a word, Arthur immediately tripled the number of bodyguards. The security for my and the child's outings was like that of a head of state. I'd once complained about this suffocating protection until that day. I was at the mall alone when I suddenly heard the sound of glass shattering. A bullet grazed my ear and hit the display window behind me. The bodyguards instantly surrounded me and evacuated me quickly. Did you find out who did it? Arthur rushed to the hospital, his face ashen. Clara Lin, the head bodyguard, handed over a file. She hired a professional hitman. Arthur's eyes turned terrifying. Prepare the car. We'll finish this tonight. I pulled his hand. I'm going with you. It's too dangerous. I want to watch her die with my own eyes. Under the cover of night, our car pulled up outside a dilapidated apartment building on the outskirts of the city. This was where Clara Lin lived with her son whose father no one knew. Wait in the car, Arthur ordered. I shook my head. No. We went upstairs together. The bodyguards kicked the door open. Clara was sitting on the sofa watching TV, with a 7 or 8-year-old boy leaning against her. When she saw us, she froze for a moment, then broke into a sneering smile. Oh, Mrs. Liu came in person? Her voice was still shrill. What, the bullet missed you? Arthur stepped forward. Clara Lin, you know why I'm here. To kill me? Go ahead. He suddenly screamed. You rich people think money can buy everything. But you can't buy my life. Her son burst into tears, clinging tightly to her waist. But Clara pushed him away, pulled a gun from under the sofa and pointed it at me. Fang Mingming, you ruined everything for me. I want you dead. Bang. The gunshot rang out, but the bullet didn't hit me. Arthur's bodyguard had fired first, hitting Clara square between the eyebrows. Her body stiffened for a second, then slowly collapsed. Blood poured from her head, staining the carpet. Her son let out a heart-wrenching cry and threw himself onto her. Mom. Mom. I watched the scene, feeling no satisfaction as I'd expected, only a strange emptiness. Arthur walked over to the boy, knelt down and said, Kid, what's your name? Lin Xiaobei. The boy sobbed. Lin Xiaobei, your mom did very bad things. So she had to be punished. Arthur's voice was surprisingly gentle. But you're still young. You have a choice. Either come with us, work at the Liu family's company and start over. Or leave here and never come back. The boy looked up and finally nodded. I'll go with you. 10 years passed. Lin Xiaobei started at the bottom of Liu Group and worked his way up to middle management. He was hardworking and smart, never mentioning his past. Our child had also grown up, entering junior high school, completely unaware of that old story. One day Lin Xiaobei knocked on our door. He was now a mature man in his early 30s. "Mr. Liu, Mrs. Liu, I want to talk to you," he said. "I know I can never make up for the harm my mother did to you." He looked us straight in the eyes. "But for the past 10 years I've done my best. Now, I want to ask your permission to leave to start my own life." Arthur glanced at me. I nodded slightly. "You can go," Arthur said. "The company will give you a severance package." After Lin Xiaobei left, I told Arthur, I prepared a startup fund for him in private. "Why?" Arthur frowned. "Because hatred shouldn't be passed down through generations," I said softly. "He's already paid enough." A month later Lin Xiaobei came to say goodbye. He was no longer the bitter child he'd been, now a calm, steady man. "Thank you for giving me a second chance at life," he said sincerely. I handed him an envelope. "This is a gift from me, a small startup fund." He took the envelope and a glimmer of tears appeared in his eyes. "I won't let this opportunity go to waste." Watching him walk away, I leaned on Arthur's shoulder. "It's finally over." Arthur kissed my forehead. "No, it's a new beginning." Our lives finally returned to peace. No hatred, no scheming, only simple happiness. This was perhaps what we'd wanted from the start and what we'd finally gained. The end. That's the story for today. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. New exciting content will be posted every week. You won't want to miss it. Also, feel free to leave your thoughts and feelings in the comments section. Let's discuss and share together. Remember to turn on notifications so you'll never miss an update. Thank you for your support. See you next time.